Hey guys, welcome. My name is Mr. Radke, and I am currently in our greenhouse, and behind me is our aquaponics system here at Lincoln High School that agriculture education students helped me design and put together. So I'm super excited to show you, and I hope you find it interesting and hopefully answer some questions that maybe you've had about aquaponics. So we're going to start with get to the case right away here. So behind me is the tilapia, and you can see them in there. They were about an inch long, so really small when we first got them September 1st, and you can see how big they are now. I'll bring the camera in a little closer. You can kind of see the tank. Okay, and we chose tilapia because they're so fast growing. As I mentioned, September 1st, they were less than an inch, and now they're probably 6 to 7 inches. So that's really fast if you think about how fast they're growing. By May, they'll be about 15 inches and about 1.5 pounds. So in just 9 months, they grow pretty dang fast. And that's why we chose tilapia, is because they grow so fast, and they actually can be pretty good eaten if we're careful about how we raise them, and then how we then eventually will fillet them. So anyways, of course, aquaponics uses completely soilless media. So you can see right here, these are the grow beds, and right now we don't have a whole lot in them because we're starting a new planting season. But one of the neat things about aquaponics is we can grow year round. There's so much that we can learn about it, but in most basic, we provide light because, in the winter there's shorter days. So we actually have these lights right here, and those lights are what's called high pressure sodium, and they mimic the sun's light. Okay, so that way these plants can still grow even though there's shorter days and we don't have as much sun, right? There's also nutrients provided by the fish. So that is the poop and pee, if you will, is then filtered into these big, so here's the tank, and then you can see the two tanks over here. Those two bins break down the poop and pee a little bit in order to make it usable for the plants, and the plants then filter the water, so that way these guys over here have clean water. And you can see there's 115 of them in there, and the water is pretty darn clear. Okay, so if there was no filter or no plants, that would be a disaster in there, and they would get really dirty. So anyway, that's basically how it works. They kind of worked, in symbiosis together, and they help each other out that way. So how do they eat, or what do they eat? So in here I have some fish food. So I'm going to take a scoop of that, and we start them off with a lot smaller fish food, but they make their way up to a bigger piece of food. And so I'm going to take this over here then, and here we go. They love to eat. You can see they're pretty aggressive, and they really splash quite a bit too. But they are just crazy awesome fish. And we put this window in here so we could see them, and that has been nothing shy of awesome. So anyway, I didn't want to make this video too long, but this is our greenhouse, and we just got new concrete poured in, so we have a lot of new workspace. There's students that are going to be starting in March. We'll be utilizing this a lot more and planting all kinds of vegetables in here and raising them in order to have a big plant sale in spring, and then also start a bunch of flowers that we will then put in baskets and different arrangements to sell right before Mother's Day. So it's pretty exciting that they get to really go hands-on and plant those type of things and watch them grow. And then we can be better gardeners at home if we want, or caretakers of plants and all kinds of things. I guess one real quick thing I want to show you that's neat about aquaponics too, that you can't do with, say, crops that grow in soil. And that is, we can actually take this plant here and pull it right out. I don't know if you can see that very well on the camera. And I can see the whole root structure, and we can learn how plants grow that way. And then let's say, you know what? I don't like it in this one anymore. I want to move it over here. So I can go over to a different bed, and I can dig a little hole right here. It's kind of hard one-handed, but I can plant that right over here. And I can transplant them. And so I can put them wherever I want. And as they grow, I can harvest and they'll grow back as long as they still have their roots. So we grow a lot of different stuff. We've grown basil, parsley, cucumbers, green beans, peas, lettuce, spinach, mostly vegetables that are not root vegetables. I know one of the questions some people have is what kind of vegetables can you grow? You usually want to stay away from rooting vegetables just because these grow beds are not super deep. And so, you think of like a carrot or a potato or an onion or something like that. They, require a certain amount of depth, kind of like a mound. And they just don't do very well in this sort of media. Maybe if you had a deeper media bed, it would work out good, but otherwise we're growing pretty much anything that produces fruit above the ground. So these beds right here just fill up with water, and then they drain with a drain system we have. It's important that plants have obviously water, and in this case it's especially important because they're getting their nutrients from the water. But then we have to make sure that their roots are exposed to air too, so they can breathe. They need oxygen that way, and if they're wet all the time, then they get what's called root rot. So this system basically floods and drains constantly through the little filter system that we have. So these little guys here, I always get questions. What is this? Oops. What is this, right? What is all this stuff? And those are just, we call it clay pebbles. That's exactly what it is. It's clay that's molded into a pebble, and it really just provides a structure for the roots to grab onto. And so, truthfully, plants do not need soil. If we can give them the nutrients they need in the water, they would just need something then to hold on to, right? Their roots to grab onto so they don't constantly fall over, or if it rained, they'll just wash away, right? So soil provides a structure for the roots to hold on to, and we can do that with these clay pebbles. So as you can see, here's my hand, super clean. So much for the old saying, dig in and get your hands dirty. I can't really get my hands dirty with this system, unless I really tried. But it is kind of neat that we can grow in a completely soilless environment and year-round, because we control the light, so we have those grow lights. We control the temperature. We have heaters. I don't know if you can kind of see that. That's our heater. We also provide oxygen, so we have these aerators right there that provide oxygen. So that's super important. And we can really kind of control the environment for them, for not only the fish, but the plants as well. And we can monitor fertilizing, and we can monitor pH. So this cool guy right here, if you can see that, monitors the pH. It monitors the temperature of the water, and it also monitors the ppm. And that's basically how much fish poop and pee is in the water. And we want to make sure that the plants and the fish are suitable for each other, so that way the water isn't too dirty for the fish where it's causing issues, and the plants, or on the vice versa, if there was too many plants and they're filtering so well that the plants would start to have deficiencies because they're not getting all the food that they need to because there's so many of them, So we do kind of monitor that. So tilapia, I guess another reason why we grow them, not only they're fast growing, but they're a pretty hardy fish, and they're actually a tropical fish from southern Africa. But they're hardy, they're fast growing, they're pretty tolerant to fluctuations of pH in the water, and they also take up all the different levels of the water column. So you can see they're not just on the bottom, they're not just on the top, they kind of work all over the water column, and that's good when we're trying to raise fish in a certain particular amount of space. And this tank right here is 750 gallons, and so in order to have that many fish in there, it's nice that they use all sections of the water column instead of all just hunkering on the bottom or all just hunkering on the top. So anyway, there's so much fun stuff that you can learn, and this is just our horticulture class and on our aquaponics side of things. But other fun classes that you can take when you get here is pretty much anything and everything animals. We have a large animal science class. We have a small animal vet science class, natural resources class, and then a fish forest and wildlife class, which is pretty neat. It's one of my favorite classes to teach We have agri-science, and there's a few more too. So there's a lot of exciting things to learn. I'm so happy that we have an agriculture program here, and I can't wait to meet some of you guys someday when you're able to come and take some classes with me. So I hope to see you then, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Until then, see ya.